are going to go to our ring announcer, Joe Martinez.
And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, time for 4 rounds scheduled in the light middleweight division. Your 3 judges scoring this bout at ringside are Fred Fox, Kenny Lizon, and Mark Fox. When the bell rings, your referee in charge of all the action inside the ring, Darian Morissette. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen, introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. Wearing black trimmed and white, he weighed in officially 152 pounds even. As a professional, he brings 2 victories inside the ropes, both wins coming by way of knockout and 1 defeat from McLaughlin, South Dakota. Here is Silas Ortley. His opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wears black, trimmed in silver, and weighed in officially 152 pounds even. Tonight, in his 2nd professional bout, he looks to remain perfect with his 2nd professional victory. From Bismarck, North Dakota, here is Nick Runningbea. Referee Darian Morissette with the final instructions.
Fighters. Okay, boys, got your instructions in the dressing room. Here's a little bowl right here. Touch gloves and get it on.
The final instructions by Darian Morissette. And we are ready. Silas Ortley and Nick Runningbea. It is going to be 4 rounds in the light middleweight division. And we are ready for the opening bell. Silas Ortley and Nick Runningbea. Silas Ortley has on the black trunks with the brighter white stripes and belt. And also he's got a little bit of belt, of black along the belt. Nick Runningbea, also black trunks with almost a silver color, or a dirty white, I guess you would say, or maybe even chartreuse. What do you think? Chartreuse?
Yeah, I think I'll go with that.
Okay.
You know, the little we know about these fighters, on paper, it looks to be very evenly matched with the close records, both 5'10" at 152 pounds. Their age is even relatively close. One's 25, the other's 27, so it could be a competitive matchup.
So far, Ortley doing better establishing his jab and a straight right hand early on in this fight.
Runningbea won his first fight by a decision, a 4-round decision. And Joe, let's take you back to your first fight. What was the result of your first fight?
I had a first-round knockout, but it was very it was on the undercard of an HBO show, and it was at the Harlem in Harlem, New York. So I was very, very nervous, and Michael Buffer was there, and the whole crew, and Sugar Ray Leonard, and I was really, really nervous, as everyone making their pro debut is. But, I had some amateur background, which makes it a little bit easier. And some of these guys are a little bit more inexperienced, but these 2 guys are showing some good skill.
Silas Ortley, who's trained by Gary Ortley, his father. Then you got Nick Runningbea, trained by Arthur Cook and also Richard Calavero.
Here in round 1, Ortley has, for the most part, established his jab, and that's what's helped him land some right hands. And Runningbea has been unable to really get off effectively, although he has had a couple right hands like that one.
Oh, a short right hand.
Ortley just finding the exact 6-inch punch, and it just sends Nick Runningbea to the mat. Totally shocked.
I also got to tell you, I remember the first time I was knocked out, which leads me into. And, that comes to a shock to every fighter. I don't care if it's sparring, you're an amateur or pro. The first knockdown is always one you remember, and you'll see what type of fighter you are after you stand up from that knockdown.
Yes, I was divorced, so I remember that first knockout too. Nick Runningbea, Silas Ortley, and Ortley now getting the better of it as he's pressuring Nick Runningbea.
Looks like Nick Runningbea is holding on right now. He could be a little dazed, just trying to get his legs back underneath him.
Referee Darian Morissette letting him fight out of those clinches. And all of a sudden, Runningbea trying to load up with the right hand.
He throws some nice right hands, Nick, but he also leaves himself wide open.
The final seconds of round number 1, Ortley and Runningbea. That's an exciting first round. You get a knockdown there. Silas Ortley landing a beautiful right hand. sends Nick Runningbea to the canvas in that opening round. And now we go to the corner right here. This is Silas Ortley. Gary Ortley in his corner, his father.
It was a short right hand, a very nice punch by Ortley that would put Runningbea down. Here comes just a nice short lead right hand. Didn't even have to set that one up with the jab, although he had done it earlier. There's the right with very low left by Runningbea.
Runningbea is throwing some nice right hands and has landed a few of them, but while he's throwing his right hand, his left is way down by the waist.
Boy, that's amazing, way that right leg just buckled.
Seconds up.
It'd be smart for Nick Runningbea.
And we are ready for round number 2 of a scheduled 4-rounder. In the light middleweight division, it is Silas Ortley in the black trunks with the very bright white stripes and a little bit of black going through his belt. Nick Runningbea, who was on the mat in the first round, courtesy of the right hand by Silas Ortley, has on the black trunks with the darker colored white stripes and belt. Ortley right away coming back with that right hand on Runningbea. And Joe, you mentioned that it looked like Runningbea was throwing some pretty good right hands.
He is. He's opening up the second round with some nice movement after losing the first round because of his knockdown. He's opening up with some nice movement and throws good right hands, but his hands are just too low. He's going to get caught with another right hand if he doesn't bring his left up while throwing the right.
And now you take a look at Silas Ortley. That mouth is wide open right now.
Yeah, I mean, these fighters, you know, even this early in their career can get fatigued. And you're right, Ortley is breathing with his mouth open. And that's the first good jab Runningbea has really thrown in this fight, and it landed flush. So he's not out of this fight, Runningbea, even though he was knocked down in that first round. And Joe's point's well taken. His hands are very low, though.
And you see Silas Ortley's mouth just opens wider and wider and wider as he is using up a lot of energy. Now takes a big right hand from Runningbea.
Ortley, the type of fighter that really could win on heart and determination, although Runningbea may have a little more skill level. Ortley's very tough, a very determined fighter.
Well, on the part of Silas Ortley, he's the kind of guy, he's just a headhunter. Totally has abandoned any attack to the body. He's found the head, and that's where he's going.
You know, Ortley was a little better with his technique in round 1. Now, as he gets more tired, he's getting hit with more right hands, and he's throwing much wider punches, and that's why Runningbea is getting back into it.
And Joe, right there, Runningbea setting that up beautifully, going down to the body and then coming over the top.
They're great right hands. There's no defense from these young guys. I mean, their head is just staying. They're just staying still. I mean, we can all work on our defense. That's one thing I think that all boxers could work on. But these guys' heads are just remain right in the center, very, very still.
Runningbea, 27 years of age, Ortley, 25 years of age, and now putting together a combination is Nick Runningbea.
No need to work the body right now.
You know, all of a sudden, Runningbea has found the jab, and he didn't throw any in the first round, and he's throwing a jab and a good straight right hand, and it's very effective.
Absolutely. Other than his hands being down, he's throwing good jabs and good right hands.
And whereas Runningbea has found the jab, Ortley can't find any oxygen. Just throwing those big, wide punches. And again, folks, and Joe, you can back me up. Those are not the ones that produce knockouts. Those big, wide ones don't do it.
Not normally, not normally. And again, the great 1-2 there by Runningbea. He knows he's hurt.
Stop! But the amazing thing is, Ortley, you don't see him taking a step back.
No, it's again, he's shown a lot of heart. He's got a lot of will to win this fight, even at this early stage in their career.
And the crowd loves it here as Nick Runningbea gets the better of it in round number 2. So now, so far, the way you've scored it, the first round you got to give to Silas Ortley.
I think it's an even fight. Runningbea certainly won in round number 2. Well, no, it wouldn't be an even fight because that was a 2-point round in the first round for Ortley. But Runningbea got himself back in by winning that next round, so he's 1 point down, but he's certainly back in the fight. And the other factor is Ortley's tired, so who knows what will happen in the next couple of rounds.
So we'll see. As you see right there, this is Nick Runningbea.
We take a peek at the excellent jab of Runningbea.
Perfect.
And it would lead to some, I believe we'll see some right hands here. There's a right hand by Runningbea. That became a good weapon for him.
Nick Runningbea showing good patience, heating up. And this is round number 3 of a scheduled 4-rounder here at the beautiful Four Bears Casino and Lodge, the Thriller on the River, Pinnacle Fight Night. And we've got a barn burner. This is Nick Runningbea in the black trunks with the darker of the white stripes. Silas Ortley, on the other hand, with the black trunks in the very bright white in the small black along his belt. Ortley put Runningbea on the mat in the first round, so that was scored 10-8. Then it was all Nick Runningbea in round number 2. So we'll see if Runningbea can continue the pace he set in round number 2.
This is the quintessential 4-round preliminary fight, the one you enjoy watching for the very reasons that Joe mentioned. Defense lacking, but both fighters very earnest in their efforts and anxious to land punches.
Two offensive fighters, both lacking condition and lacking defense, but sometimes make for the most exciting fights.
Yeah, and this one has been interesting.
But Runningbea should stay with the jab. He's found a home, as you mentioned. He should just stay with the jab, be very successful. He's got a fatigue man in front of him in Ortley. So just move, walk, use the ring, and continue using the jab.
And it's amazing how fatigue affects your technique. Because definitely in the first round, when he was fresh, Silas Ortley looked like a very polished fighter the way he was executing. But since he lacked that, and now a big right hand there by Runningbea.
There's a lot of blood from the nose of Ortley, and that's really bothering him.
He's a tough kid. He's getting hit with some devastating lefts and right hands from Runningbea, and he's just willing to stand there and accept it.
And you know, you see the hand snap back, but the feet don't go back. That's the amazing thing on the part of Ortley. Just incredible ability to take a big shot. But definitely out. That nose right now, with the blood coming out of there, he definitely cannot breathe out of that. That's why now he's got his mouth wide open with that mouth. Now he stepped on his foot. Runningbea stepping on his foot.
The nose is a big issue for Ortley, and if in fact Runningbea can stick with that jab, he can cause more damage to that nose. But right now Ortley is in some trouble in this fight.
And Runningbea coming at Ortley, and Ortley now all of a sudden taking his time, picking his spots.
That's it. Runningbea's got the game now. He's just kind of walking, using the ring, taking his time, picking and choosing his punches because he's got a tired man in front of him.
I think not only tired, but also that inability to breathe through his nose. So therefore, he seems to be conserving his energy, picking his spots before. And now you see Runningbea now also incredibly fatigued.
That's true. You find the real strength of a fighter after he's been down once or he's been bleeding. And but he's a warrior, this Ortley, and he's in there accepting the punches.
The final seconds of round number 3. One more coming up. This is Runningbea and Ortley. We go to the corner here of Nick Runningbea. See Nick Runningbea in the corner with him is Arthur Cook and Richard Calavera. And there you see, this is Nick Runningbea from Bismarck, North Dakota, being tended to by Arthur Cook and Richard Calavera. Some of the replay here of round number 3.
It was a very good round again for Runningbea as he was able to land, rips a body shot, and then the straight right hand. The nose, a big issue for Ortley as he was bleeding.
And final round.
And here we have it. It is the 4th and final round. Nick Runningbea, Silas Ortley. Silas Ortley had the better of it in the first round. That was his best round when a right hand dropped Nick Runningbea. After that, it has been all Nick Runningbea. And therefore right now, how do you have it? How do you have it scored?
Well, it should be an even fight. Runningbea winning the last 2 rounds, but the first round was a 10-8 round for Ortley. So this fight is right there to be won. But you find it hard to make a case for Ortley because Runningbea is wrapping him around that ring.
And right there, Joe, it looks like Runningbea's gotten that second win that you get in that final round.
He does have the second win. And as I said earlier, he would move a little bit and use that jab. But now that he sees a man so fatigued in front of him, it's almost time to sit down, get your feet flat, and start throwing some hard punches.
But we have to give tremendous credit to this Silas Ortley. What a warrior. He has taken tremendous shots by Nick Runningbea, but yet, look at him. He's still right there. That nose was bleeding profusely in the third round, but yet here he is, still upright, still trying to throw that right hand.
The jab,
nice jab.
Yeah, the jab of Runningbea becoming an important weapon. And, you know, he's also mixing his punches up a little bit. He's gone to the body a little bit, even threw in a couple of hooks. So Runningbea is getting much more confident.
Whereas right there, Silas Ortley, that punch started on one side of the Sakatawi. Raw right, and then right here.
Making a home for his right hand now, Runningbea. The second one.
Nick Runningbea, you can see this guy has some skills because he's very, very polished with that jab and also with the right. What he needs is probably more movement out of those legs.
A little movement, a little more body work, and I'll tell you, a little more conditioning out of these guys because they both have the heart and the will of some tough fighters.
And now you see that blood again coming from the nose of Silas Ortley.
He's really in a survival mode now, Ortley. So unless something is amiss in the scoring of these last 3 rounds, you would anticipate Runningbea is carving out a decision win for himself. Unless one or more of the judges saw any of the last 2 rounds for Ortley.
Part of the great action you're going to get on Pinnacle Fight Night. Nick Runningbea, Silas Ortley slugging it out.
Now he's doing what I said. Now he's a little more aggressive. His feet are flat. He's approaching his opponent. He knows he's tired. He's throwing some hard punches like that right hand now.
Incredible ability to take a shot. Silas Ortley taking one combination after another from Nick Runningbea. Now he's hurt. He's hurt. Nick Runningbea finally landed a right hand that dropped Silas Ortley.
6, 7.
Referee Darren Morissette counting. And look at that, Silas Ortley up. And we are going to go to the scorecards of judges Fred Fox, Kenny Leeson, and Mark Fox. As this man, Silas Ortley, beat the 10 count, was up, and now is going to leave it to the judges to go ahead and decide as we go to the scorecard. This is Nick Runningbea, who after being dropped in the first round, came back and showed us a tremendous left jab, putting together combinations and a great right hand. Do we think he is going to get the win?
Well, if Runningbea needed something to punctuate the decision win, it is certainly the knockdown that he created in round 4. The jab and straight right hand, very good weapon throughout the round. That was a sequence earlier, and then he would land this straight right hand that sent him down. And, you know, the straightness of those punches and how compact they were was impressive.
Look at that. Joe's got blood on him, and he's not even fighting. A boxer just attracts blood, doesn't he?
A little spattering here at ringside. Good performance by that young man, who actually, his technique kind of improved as this fight went on, which is kind of interesting.
Exactly. So good physical condition on the part of Nick Runningbea. And Joe, what would you advise Nick Runningbea that he's got to do to get himself up in that upper level?
Well, obviously a little bit of conditioning, but you know, he's like I said before, he's a little technically sound. He needs to do a little more body work and kind of with experience that will bring him. When do you sit down on your punches? When do you use and move the ring? But that will come to him because it looks like he's got some of the basics down pat.
On the part of Silas Ortley, you can't teach heart, and this man definitely showed a tremendous heart in the way he fought. So now we're waiting now for Joe Martinez to get the cards from the judges Fred Fox, Kenny Leeson, and Mark Fox, who will have scored this fight. And the crowd here waiting for the results to be read here by Joe Martinez. Nick Runningbea, the unbeaten fighter from Bismarck, North Dakota. This is Silas Ortley. This is Nick Runningbea, a very happy man. He thinks he's going to stay unbeaten. Waiting to hear those words still for Nick Runningbea.
There were just times in the fight that Runningbea found himself in a fight that he shouldn't have been in. Sometimes he was fighting standing toe-to-toe when he should have been moving. Sometimes he's moving when he should have been putting pressure on. But I think that will come with a few more fights.
And now you noticed right away that blood coming from Silas Ortley's nose, which definitely affected his breathing.
It had a big impact. That happened in the second or third round, and from that point on, he was certainly a different fighter.
So now we are ready. So now let's go to our ring announcer, Joe Martinez, for the scores.
Ladies and gentlemen, 4 rounds of boxing. We go to the scorecards one more time. How about a big hand for the war inside the ropes tonight? Here are your judges' scoring totals. Judge Fred Fox scores it 38-36, while judges Kenny Lizan and Mark Fox have it 38-35. All three in favor of your winner by unanimous decision. And still undefeated, Nick Runningbea.
And still, that was the key word right there. Nick Runningbea getting the scorecard 38-36, 38-35, 38-35. All in favor of your winner by unanimous decision, Nick Runningbea from Bismarck, North Dakota, getting his second decision win. Now goes to 2-0. And a great night. Here's some of the replay, Al. And we saw a little bit of that right hand.
Which one are we going on next?
It was a bravura performance for Runningbea as he connected with some power shots in this fight.
And Silas Ortley, who got the better of it in the first round. And after that, it became all Nick Runningbea.
Sit down.
So now, we'll be back with more on Pinnacle Fight Night. Stay right there. We're at the Four Bears Casino and Lodge.
It's hot up there, man. Huh? Is that right?